So when you look at the weapons the Chiefs have this year, everybody getting healthy along with the adjustments they've made, the offense will not only be taking a pretty big step up, but KC is going to be a thorn in the side of the NFL once again for several reasons I'll break down in today's video. Before I get to that though, I've got to talk about a QB for the national flag football team not being a fan of NFL players being in the Olympics, Kadarius Toney giving some nice props and praise to the Chiefs, and more. But first, how about those? Alright, first up, with NFL players being allowed to compete in the 2028 Olympics via some flag football, the quarterback of the current USA national flag football team is back in the news, saying some interesting stuff. That QB is Darrell Doucette III, and he said flag football players deserve their opportunity to play for Team USA, which I do agree with. Absolutely. If you play flag football or in the NFL, you both should get an opportunity to play. You just have to compete and then make the roster. But this is where he gets a little out of pocket here. He said, quote, "This is a sport that we've played for a long time and we feel like we are the best at it and we don't need other guys." The term other guys obviously means NFL players, but this guy needs to relax. This is the same guy, by the way, that said he feels like he's better than Patrick Mahomes because of, quote, "my IQ of the game in regards to playing flag football." Here's the reality of the situation. Anybody who plays flag football right now grew up wanting to play professional football in the NFL and make millions of dollars. They couldn't, and therefore they now play flag football. This is not a difficult concept to grasp. NFL players would absolutely help improve USA's Olympic roster, and there's really no debate about it. Sure, they would have to practice because it is a different style of game, but NFL players will absolutely be making the 2028 Olympic team and will fairly earn that spot via the Olympic trials. Now, to be clear, there's some very talented flag football players out there, so it's no disrespect to them, including Doucette himself. He's helped the national team stack up a bunch of wins and, I believe, awards, championships, I don't know what you want to call it, over the years. But to act like Lamar Jackson couldn't just walk in there with very little practice and basically lead that team to a gold medal blindfolded is pretty silly. Trevor Sikkema of PFF has a great solution to solve this issue, the NFL players versus flag football players debate for the Olympics. Have the national flag football team go up against the NFL's put-together flag football team a year before the Olympics, and the winner gets to go there and represent the country. I'm all for it and would honestly put a ton of money down on the NFL guys winning, especially if they actually took the game a little bit serious. Anyway, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think NFL players could come in there and elevate the Olympic flag football roster as they are the superior athlete, or nah? Flag football is way too different of a sport, and the original flag football guys on the national team would win that and don't need any help from NFL players. Let me know either way in the comments below. And then former Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney recently spoke on the new Rory and Mal podcast, and he shared about the first time he knew Patrick Mahomes was different, saying it was at one of the first practices he had with the Chiefs after they traded for him. Mahomes threw some kind of a jump pass that he said he couldn't even really explain, and he needed to record it so they could actually see how crazy it was. It was just something he'd never seen before at practice or even recorded and posted up on social media, and it was right on the money. He then compared the practices that the Chiefs ran compared to the Giants, saying the Chiefs do not play around. They run things full speed all the time, at least compared to how things were done when he was in New York. And since we're talking about Toney here, he did recently say he was going to retire from the NFL to focus on music, but he quickly said what many thought he was just trolling, not serious, and still plans on making music and playing in the NFL again. After being waived by the Chiefs before the start of the season, he ended up playing in 3 games with the Cleveland Browns. They too waived him though in December, and that's the last time we've seen Toney with an NFL team. And if he wants to for real play in the NFL again, he's gonna have to most likely build his reputation back up and be fine with signing to some team's practice squad. That is after he finishes dealing with some of the off-the-field issues from an incident back in February of this year. Toney was actually arrested and booked on charges of aggravated assault and obstructing or hindering an emergency call, and the details from this alleged incident are pretty serious and concerning if true. Obviously, you need to let the legal system play out and see if he's innocent or guilty, but again, the initial allegations are pretty concerning. Now, I would imagine Toney, like a couple other players dealing with off-the-field issues, need to work through all of that before a team would even be interested in them. The NFL is pretty inconsistent in how they deal with suspensions, but we do know they do not play around with domestic violence or sexual assault charges. A couple other players going through semi-similar instances right now is going to be former Ravens kicker Justin Tucker and the undrafted wide receiver Isaiah Bond. Tucker has all those massage allegations going around right now from years prior, and they were serious enough for the Ravens to actually release him. I don't think he's done playing in the NFL most likely, but I would be surprised if a team took any sort of a chance on him until that whole situation either calms down or gets worked out, and then he serves some sort of suspension from the NFL. Wide receiver Isaiah Bond was former teammates with Xavier Worthy at Texas, another smaller-bodied but very quick receiver that was predicted to be around a third-round pick in this year's draft, but he went undrafted and is still unsigned to this day due to sexual assault allegations that took place shortly before the draft, and we don't really know what the end result with that situation is going to be for him. But speaking of Xavier Worthy, he himself dealt with what initially looked like a not-so-great situation at the end of March, being arrested on a felony DV charge, but good news for him, the district attorney dropped the charges within 24 hours. From there, Worthy and his ex-fiancée ended up reaching an agreement and dropping their cases against each other a couple weeks later, and so I don't actually think anything is going to come from this, at least in regards to punishment from the NFL. I could be wrong, but since he was cleared of all charges, I don't think any punishment will be coming from the NFL, even though we have seen players in the past not get legally charged based on allegations, yet the NFL does their own investigation and still renders a suspension based on what they found to be some sort of a violation of the NFL personal conduct policy. Now, the receiver on the team that will most likely be serving a suspension of some sort is obviously Rashee Rice, who crashed his car and fled the scene last offseason. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole of details. We all know about it. And if you don't, I have a bunch of videos covering it, but there's actually a chance he doesn't get suspended until next season. So the 2026 NFL season, because things with his criminal case is moving very slowly. Drew Davenport, a practicing defense attorney of 20 plus years, is actually leaning towards the scenario of Rice playing all of this year unless we see a development on his criminal case in the near future. I believe at least one or both of his civil cases will be taking place sometime this summer, but there's no news at all, no update at all on the criminal case. So that means the Chiefs could have Rice all season long, with the only real question mark being, how does he look in his return from injury? The fact that he was injured so early in the season last year bodes well for him to be potentially 100% good to go for the 2025 NFL season, which would mean great things for the Chiefs offense, because this man was going to go for well over 1,000 yards last year based on his production through the first 3 weeks. He then injured his knee week 4, and that was all she wrote for that season. Then Xavier Worthy is looking to build upon the back half of his rookie season, where he averaged 6 catches for 68 yards and over half a touchdown in the last 9 games of the season. That's if you look at his stats after the Bills' loss. Don't include Week 18 when he rested along with the majority of the starters, and then also include his playoff performances. Hollywood Brown is also back in the mix, signing another 1-year deal, and even though he came back near the end of last season, I don't think he was ever fully integrated into the offense in the way they wanted to use him before he got injured on the first play of preseason. So that's a fantastic trio, Worthy, Rice, and Hollywood, along with Juju Smith-Schuster, who will be used a lot in the blocking aspect of things, but is also a very zone-friendly and just trustworthy target for Patrick Mahomes, giving him another reliable guy in the middle of the field to help offset Travis Kelce. And before I speak about Kelce, because he seems to be very motivated this offseason, I can't forget to mention the Chiefs' 4th-round pick, Jalen Royals. He had the fastest 10-yard split out of any receiver in this draft class and still ran a 4.42 40 at the combine, even though, per his own words, he wasn't yet fully healthy from that foot injury he sustained, the same injury that caused him to miss the last handful of games last season. Will the Chiefs actually line him up on the outside like he played in college? I sort of hope so. I mean, they kind of need a guy there because Justin Watson is now gone, but they see a lot of translatable aspects of his game to Rashee Rice in regards to his burst and yards after catch ability, so time will surely tell there. Now, on top of all of those receiving options, you have Noah Gray, trustworthy tight end 2, who could see his role increase this year with Travis Kelce just getting older. But Travis Kelce, yes, he's entering what is believed to be his last year in the NFL, his 13th season, yet is more motivated than ever. He's reportedly lost 25 pounds this offseason, which is kind of a lot. So it's a little surprising to me, but he wants to be in better shape for this year. Some took that to mean he wasn't in shape in 2024, but I sort of took that to mean he just may not have been as lean as he wanted to be last year, and then put on a little bit of beer weight in the offseason, combine both of those things, and boom, he's down 25 pounds. Trimming down a bit could help with his yards after catch ability that has definitely declined over the past couple of seasons. In spite of that, Kelce was still top 5 in most categories among all tight ends last year. The average age of a tight end in the NFL is like 27 and a half years old. Kelce did all this at 35, so he's definitely still going to be a problem for opposing defenses and a target Mahomes looks to often. And that's not even talking about the upgrade on the O-line, at least the left tackle spot. The running back room should be more explosive. Kareem Hunt, a full offseason under his belt. Pacheco, further removed from the ankle surgery he had. Elijah Mitchell, you're taking a little bit of a flyer on him. And then, of course, you drafted Brashard Smith in the 7th round, arguably the best receiving back in the entire draft class. All that to say, I think the Chiefs offense is going to be all the way back this year if they stay healthy, and the pass catching room is shaping up to be absolutely fantastic. But let me know your thoughts. How happy are you with the Chiefs pass catching room and just the state of the offense as a whole? The defense, I believe, is taking a big step up with how they've kind of rebuilt that cornerback room. Should allow McDuffie to kick into the slot. That's going to help the D-line as a whole. But I also think the offense is going to take a step up, and the Chiefs are truly going to be feared this year once again. I don't know that they're going to be back to putting up 30-plus points a game on the regular or anything like that, but I do think they are going to be much more dangerous this season. Next up, it was announced over the weekend that the Chiefs made a few changes to their front office staff. Mike Bradway and Chris Shea, they got promoted to assistant GM roles after Mike Borgonzi left to be the GM for the Tennessee Titans. Then Ryan Nutt and Tim Terry have been promoted to VP of Player Personnel. And finally, Mark Richards, I don't know why I said it like that, has been promoted to Director of Football Research and Development. On top of that, they also hired Drew Grigson as Senior College Pro Exec. This doesn't mean a ton at the moment, at least to us fans looking in from the outside, but they are backfilling some roles and promoting from within via guys who've been putting in the work with Brett Veach and company for a while now. These kind of unseen positions play key roles in helping research for Brett Veach and make moves from free agency to trades prior to the deadline as well as the draft. So it was definitely worth mentioning. Anyway, that's all I have for today, but this week will be a busy one for the Chiefs as they have OTAs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the 27th through the 29th. So there's going to be probably players speaking every single day and lots to report on from practice. So I'll definitely be back to update you all and keep you in the loop with my thoughts around all of that. So until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?